let's shift gears into main topic today. So what kind of inspired this for me was our friend of the show, Renell Nolan of Hoffa, posted this over the weekend. And I'm going to read the post. So, breaking bad news for brokers and their clients that represent in New York. On May 8th, 2025, New York State of Health, so regional carrier, Medicare Advantage carrier in New York, quietly released a policy update that eliminates all broker/agent commissions for new and renewing enrollments in my understanding is their most popular plan, the essential plan for them, starting January 1st, 2026. This move undermines the critical role licensed agents and brokers play in helping consumers navigate. This is Renell speaking, by the way. This is her statement. Consumers navigate their health insurance options, especially vulnerable populations who rely on professional guidance. Stripping away commissions means less support for consumers, more confusion, and fewer enrollment opportunities for those who need it most. Regional carrier, right, doesn't affect the vast majority probably of you that will listen to this. Affects some of you. That being said, we haven't done a specific episode talking about this from an entirety perspective. We did an episode talking about the Anthem thing when Anthem released their plan suppressions of their regular
PDPs.
Medicare Advantage plans. We've talked about it here and there. We've talked about the PDP thing. We haven't talked about this as a whole. I feel like agents see these news things coming out and these updates and these announcements, and they feel like it's unprecedented to where I can't remember a time where we've seen this many plans going either non-commissionable or suppressed all throughout the year, right? Not even during AEP, right? In the off season. And it makes agents think, we've all seen the posts, you've seen the posts, I've seen the posts about agents.
The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Asking the question, is this a slippery slope that's moving in the direction of maybe there's just no commissionable plans for us? Are we going to move, or there's very few, right? It is interesting, right? Because CMS has been very consistent that their intention is to reduce plan bias and steering. But the results of a lot of things that have happened based on government legislation, regulations, everything like that, it's probably going to cause more steering than ever.
Right. That's the irony, right?
Right. Like, they're just so incompetent. It's wild to me. That where does this end? What is your opinion on it? You've been very vocal about Chicken Little agents and overreacting and everything like that.
Thank you. That's my
Reiterate
brand.
that. Reiterate.
That's my brand. That's my brand. That's my brand.
Reiterate your brand. Reiterate your position for those that might not be familiar with it, right?
Guys, if this is your first show, if you're tuning into episode 109, you haven't seen any other episodes, you're listening to this where podcasts can be found, and you're like, what's Glenn's brand? What's Chicken Little? Are we talking about an asteroid coming to hit Earth? Maybe. But I want to get into this a little bit more because I do talk about this quite a bit. So there are things that happen in the industry or in the news or in economic news, like things that are either close to us, similar to what Christian just shared, this information about this new plan being suppressed, or the carriers cutting commissions, right? This regional carrier in New York. It's really easy for an agent, whether you're a new agent or you've been around the block, to grab headlines like these and run with them and be able to point to it and say, look, we are being eliminated. They're going to stop paying us. They're going to stop paying commissions. They're going to stop paying renewals. I have proof. Look, here's the headline. Get out while you can. I need to stop selling Medicare. I need to sell my book. And FMO is closing its doors tomorrow. We've literally seen.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
We have seen Chicken Littles, from the littlest chicken up to the biggest chicken. And they all do the same. It's all the same reaction every time. Is they're looking for something to validate their claims, something to validate how they're feeling. And you can do that. You can absolutely do that. We can pull up Google right now, and Christian and I could cherry pick some articles and some headlines, and we could easily say, hey, look, the sky's falling, Medicare's going away, one payer system's inevitable, these carriers are going to stop paying everybody. Like, why would you keep selling Medicare? You guys are crazy. I've been hearing that since before I even ever got into the Medicare industry. So I've been hearing this for like 13, 14 years now. I've been hearing there's no money in Medicare, at least 13 years. There's no money in Medicare. Don't sell Medicare. Don't get involved in Medicare. So I am very calloused at this point. I have very thick skin to this type of behavior because I've seen it repetitively for so long. Is this a good thing for agents when a carrier stops paying commissions? No, it's not a good thing. I want everyone to get paid. I want everyone to get paid their renewals. You did the work. We're a super important part of this, the economic piece of Medicare, being a broker, being able to service the clients. It's very important what we do, and we should always be getting paid. Now, that said, I'm also not taking in this headline, though, and I'm not jumping ship. I'm not abandoning Medicare. I'm not thinking this whole thing's going away. That would be the Chicken Little mindset. So, that's definitely my first thoughts, my first reaction when I continue to see some of these non-commissionable plans is, I think it's an overreaction. I think we're looking at a pendulum swinging, as you like to say, Mr. Brindle, is like, the government makes a decision. Certain things move into motion from the decision that they make. Sometimes it's expected, sometimes it's unexpected, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it always tends to kind of be swinging left to right, left to right. So this is the reality we're in right now, right? I mean, I don't know what else honestly to say as far as like my first reactions go to it, but what first reactions when you saw this most recent post?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a couple of different spectrums of thoughts on it. My first initial gut reaction without really thinking about it at all when I read the post is I don't like it. I don't like to see it. I don't think it's good for beneficiaries. I think Renelle hit it right on the head. I agree with everything she said in her post. I don't think it's good for agents. I don't think it's good for consumers. I think it creates an environment that favors steering and unbiased in plan recommendations. The more it happens, the more we're going to see that, which ultimately, according to CMS, is what they want to fight against the most. And they're their own worst enemies. They are, and they always have been. Let's be honest with you. Let's be honest about that. Like, if the reason why Medicare Advantage exists is because the carriers are better at administering insurance than the government. I will die on that hill. That's why it exists. That's why the government even did that deal in the first place. Right. Like, and I think so that's my first initial reaction. I don't like to see it. Now, the other side of things is I think agents that haven't been around a long time in this, and even some agents that have been, that maybe just, they sell, they keep their head down, they don't really pay attention to the logistics of it, might not understand why this is happening. I'll give you my interpretation of why I believe this is happening. So when I first came into the space, you saw, probably more so than anything else, if there was a plan that a carrier didn't want out there, right? Like they weren't making money on the plan, because this has always happened, right? There's been plans where carriers, they're not getting the profit margin they want to see, right? Their actuaries screwed up in terms of what they could offer versus what they could, profit, all of that. That is not a new thing necessarily. We're seeing the spike in it right now and happening so much more because there's been more structurally impactful plan change benefits in the past year than we've probably ever seen at one time. So they're all kind of scrambling to figure out what can we do, what we can't do. Now, back in the day when I first started, especially for Medicare Advantage, instead of a carrier making a plan non-commissionable or suppressing it, you saw the non-commissionable thing a little bit, but not to the same degree. That what they would do instead is they would terminate the plan, right? They would pull that plan out. And I feel like you still see that. You saw 2 million plans terminate last AEP, but I feel like you didn't see as many non-commissionable plans. That was more their go-to, right? Now, why did the carriers not do that if they don't want you to sell a plan? That is the question that it might pop into an agent's mind, right? Why not just terminate the plan if you don't want people enrolling into it? Well, the answer is very simple. Carriers learn pretty quick that when they terminate a plan, that affects their star rating in a negative way with CMS.